What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I made it back. I'm one of the lucky ones. I made it back from the United States of America. Yes, I went against a lot of you guys' advice. I saw a lot of comments saying, don't go. But I went to the States, visited my brother, saw a concert. And I gotta say, on the whole, it was fun. It was a good time. However, there is certainly some things which make me question whether or not I want to go back. Now, what are those things? I think travel at the best of times can be annoying. Travel at the best of times can be anxiety-inducing, stress-inducing, and that's what it felt like going across the border. We went across the border in a car. My brother-in-law was driving, my sister in the passenger seat, my wife and I in the back. Leading up to the border, and it was pretty quick. It wasn't a long wait at the border lineup. When we got to the booth, the U.S. Customs officer, they ask, what are you doing? Where are you going? Who's in the car? How do you know each other? Were the questions that we got. And we had a lot of discussions. My group, my wife, my brother-in-law, my sister, we had discussions about whether or not we should, delete certain apps on our phones, delete any Trump memes, things like that. My brother-in-law, I think, made sure he deleted a few of his apps that, maybe his friends send him Trump memes, and these memes and videos and these things, this media might not even be negative of Trump, but there was just this worry that we had seen all of these news stories with things happening. And I didn't delete anything on my phone. I have a lot of videos where Trump is one of the topics of discussion, like our extra dry videos. Right? They're going after Trump. They're ridiculing Trump. And but I didn't delete anything. I said, I don't care. If they really single us out and read our phones and look at our phones, I'm just gonna say, let's cancel the trip, and I will never spend another dollar in this country again. But I do think there's a certain aspect of being propagandized to, not necessarily propagandized, but the media certainly paints a picture that is not reality, right? I've now discussed with many friends, many of my sister's friends, many people who go to the States for work, and they don't even think twice about going across the border. So, and nobody's been stopped, hassled, nobody that I know. Like, it's the cases of people being stopped, hassled, I think are few and far between. That being said, choosing right now not to spend your money in the United States is absolutely valid, and I support that. And I certainly had those thoughts while I was down there spending money, like, maybe I shouldn't be down here spending money. I don't want to support this country. But I tried to let it slide just for this one weekend because we had these tickets. We couldn't sell them. I wanted to visit my brother, and it is what it is. So we went down to Seattle. After the first customs officer, he put us through to secondary. So the reason was my wife had to pay a visa fee, or a tourist visa entry fee for non-residents. Canadians don't have to pay it, but she had to pay it. She's from the Philippines. Now, the interesting part is we went to the secondary station. The guy says, keys on the dashboard, all four of you inside. And they're not necessarily very friendly, but it's fine. So we go inside, and there's rows and rows and rows of computer terminals at the desks. But there's only one customs officer working. And there's a big lineup of people. And in the back, there's like 10 U.S. customs people just standing around drinking coffee. And they'll kind of look over at you, and they're having a good time chatting. And we came to the realization that it's part of the humiliation and power play to make coming into the United States or going across the border as inconvenient and uncomfortable as possible. Now, this is not isolated to the United States. We have felt the same attitudes from the Canadian officials when we come back into Canada. They don't care. And it's weird. They either really hate their jobs or they really like... there's no aspect of customer service to it. They don't view people as customers. They view people as... I don't know. I don't know how they view people, but the Canadian officials are the same way. They just don't care. They'll stand around, drink coffee, and they'll process like 1 to 2 people every 20 minutes. We joked because there was one officer, they processed somebody, and then they took a coffee break. One person. And then they took a coffee break. All in all, I think it took about 30 minutes to do this secondary fee. And then we were on our way. We went down to Seattle, had some nice food, visited my brother, went to the Wu-Tang Clan, run the Jewel show at Climate Pledge Arena. It was a lot of fun. Saw some cool stuff. The waterfront area of Seattle is really quite nice. Sun was out. It was hot. We had a few beer, some good food. Saw the concert, and then we came back to Canada. But yeah, I made it. I made it there and back. Nobody looked at our phones. The sheer amount of people, it's not the sheer amount of people that are coming through. There's no way that they could possibly screen everybody for like not liking Trump. And we have seen a few stories of people being like detained because they have like anti-Trump rhetoric, which doesn't make sense because you would think Trump would be, yeah, the land of the free and freedom of speech. You can say whatever you want, even if you're, ridiculing me, but I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to watch this video in the next few minutes here, and I'll have that posted for you guys. Just wanted to share my thoughts, and that I made it back. I didn't get detained, didn't get arrested, and it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad, and I do think the media poisons our brains a little bit about reality, right? News stories are exceptions, I think. All right, I'll see you soon.